Welcome to the Homeschool High School podcast, brought to you by Seven Sisters Homeschool.com and the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. I'm Vicki, and I am so excited because today I get to talk about our new C.S. Lewis Literature and Composition full year English Language Arts bundle. In this bundle, we are concentrating in the literature and even in a lot of the writing on the styles and also the writings of C.S. Lewis. So let's talk about why you would want your teen to have a full year focus on C.S. Lewis. All right, so let's see that. All right, so C.S. Lewis said that the imagination is the organ of meaning. What that means is our creativity and the imagination that God gave us is the beginning. It's the generator of the meaning and the purpose that God has created us to have as individuals and as people all together created in his image. God is a creative God, and he made us in his image to be creative and to enjoy creative things. So when we do creative reading or do creative writing, we're actually creating some meaning in our lives, even if it's just fun, because fun can be meaningful too. So where I'm going with this is this full year C.S. Lewis bundle is about creativity and meaning. So let's see what is in that bundle. So this is a full credit English language arts bundle. As all Seven Sisters literature and composition and every curriculum we have is, it's based on a no busy work approach. So we don't waste our time or your teens' time over teaching anything. And so this bundle here is full of literature and writing guides that can be done at an average or college prep level for teens who just are exploring and just learning. And it has enrichment activities for leveling up to honors for teens who are wanting to dive deeper into some area or need a powerful honors credit on their transcript, because all of Seven Sisters curriculum is no busy work and levelable. Okay. All right, so if you're not familiar with Seven Sisters, this curriculum is a bundle of PDF files. So all of our curriculum is downloadable PDF files. This is good for our teens who are heading off to college because it gets them used to a lot of the curriculum these days being PDFs, but also a PDF style will save you a lot of money. So it includes rubrics for grading and a suggested schedule so that you can kind of stay on top of your part. So in this literature and composition bundle, all of the books are going to have a component of literary analysis. This is really important with C.S. Lewis. No busy work, we're not over teaching, but we want teens to develop some literary analysis skills to really dive deep into symbolism, theology, philosophy, ancient history, all kinds of things woven in to that literary analysis. There will be 4 types of papers, including some in the style of J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. Vocabulary is integrated into the literature study guides. There's a grammar review guide, a public speaking experience. Isn't that cool? It's just a full curriculum. All right, this is the fun part. So there is no way on earth to cover all of C.S. Lewis's writings because the man was extensive. And so what we concentrated on were the creative things, the novels. So the books include the Chronicles of Narnia. So we've got The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, Prince Caspian, The Voyage of the Dawn Treader, The Silver Chair, The Horse and His Boy, The Magician's Nephew, The Last Battle. Those are taught at a high school level. So when our teens were kids, they may have read the Chronicles of Narnia, but I bet it's been a while. And what they didn't get as children, I imagine, is all the rich symbolism, theology, philosophy, Greek historical allusions that are embedded in these chronicles. So they get concepts as teens as they go back and look at the Chronicles of Narnia at a deeper level. They learn things like the symbolism, the obvious things like Aslan's a symbol of Christ, but also some of the quiet kind of Easter egg kind of, they're kind of hidden there. Symbols like the blue flowers that you see here and there in very special moments in the Chronicles. Those are symbols of Sehnsucht, which, apologize for my German, is that longing for something beyond what is here. So it's a good longing, like us Christians longing for heaven someday. And they also get a taste of the numinous. So like in the scene in The Voyage of the Dawn Treader with Lucy meeting Aslan again, and there's this very precious scene that's very mystical, and that's the numinous. Tolkien included those kind of things in his writing. And it's a very, very sweet, warm feeling of being in God's presence, a very, very transcendent feeling. So teens learn about things like that. So not only religious symbolism, but also philosophic and cultural symbolism. Then they get the space trilogy. So that's a set, of course, of 3 books: Out of the Silent Planet, Perelandra, and That Hideous Strength. So not even all adults have read these, but these are C.S. Lewis's science fiction books written in the 30s, so way before the space program. And in these stories, a Cambridge professor, it goes for a walk one day and ends up on Mars because he's kidnapped by some bad guys. And the series of books tell about his adventures in Mars, about finding out, what people really are, because on Mars the people are different. He finds out how to recognize bad guys doing bad things, the crooked philosophies, the broken philosophies that want to become selfish and own everything. And teens learn in reading through these books some very deep theological and philosophical concepts, and also some character building ones, like how to stand up, how to decide when to stand up against a bad person or a bad system. So it's very courageous character building set of books. And then the last book in the series I'm really excited about is a graphic novel, not written by C.S. Lewis, but about C.S. Lewis and his friend, J.R.R. Tolkien. And in this book, it talks about both of their lives and also the way they wrote, influencing each other and separately. And the arc of the story covers their friendship over years and has a very good myth fantasy kind of ending. I'll just leave that there, and you got to read the book to find out. But it's an excellent, excellent wrap up of the ideas and creativity of C.S. Lewis. So then, not only do we have the writing guides and the literature guides, but we have cinema studies for literature learning. So teens learn literature analysis skills also from movies. So in this bundle, there are 3 cinema studies for literature learning guides. The first one is The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. That's the 2005 movie by Andrew Adamson. So a lot of people have seen this either in the theaters or streaming over the years. The next one is a unique literature guide in which they compare 2 different versions of The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. One is the Andrew Adamson version, and the other is the 1988 BBC version. So a lot of you guys may have watched that when you were growing up or your kids were growing up. So you got the BBC TV version, and you've got the big screen version from a couple of decades later. And what did each of the directors find important in those stories that they needed captured. And so the teens work through an analysis process of comparing and contrasting in a really fun study guide. And then the last is Cinema Studies for Literature Learning Guide to the Most Reluctant Convert, directed by Norman Stone and starring Max McLean. So Max McLean is kind of like the C.S. Lewis guy. He often acts as Lewis in plays and in other productions. And he also writes plays based on Lewis's life. So he knows a lot of Lewis. This movie, if you have not seen it, you're going to love it. There are so many levels of Lewis in this movie, and maybe you want to do the literature guide with your teen because there's just so much symbolism built into the story. So, and by the way, the young C.S. Lewis in this movie is played by the actor of James Herriot in the new BBC version of All Creatures Great and Small. Just saying that. All right, so that you've got books and the literature guides. You've got cinema studies, and next is you've got some writing. So teens need, and by Seven Sisters' opinion, they need to do essay writing every year, and they need to do creative writing. So one of the best things that teens tell us that they have enjoyed in high school is writing their myth fantasy short story, using the Seven Sisters guide. To prepare for that, they need to do a sub-creation. And so that is, you got to watch the movies and you got to do the study guides. You find out that this is the backstory for all of these stories. So that every fantasy movie has a backstory to it. And Lewis and Tolkien call that a sub-creation. So teens work through a delightful APA-style research paper, creating their own sub-creation in preparation for writing their myth fantasy short story. It is so much fun, and it counts as one of their papers for the year. And then they will write an official research paper, APA style, so it's kind of there in the APA genre, based on some topic of interest, hopefully inspired by Lewis. So they've got their literature, they've got their cinema studies, they've got their writing guides. Then also they have grammar granules. So that is a grammar guide for teens in case they forget something. They have a confidence building skills for public speaking experience. So each of our full year bundles has some public speaking experience. This is a delightful activity that helps teens feel more prepared for when they do public speaking. Then you've got your parents manual, which is full of introductory and how to use this information. It's got the leveling up and it's got the grading information in that. So that is so much fun. All right. So what you do when you are ready to purchase this for your teens, you go to the website, and when you make your purchase, you will get 3 zip files full of your information. So one is the literature study guides, the other is the writing guides and the speaking experience, and the other is the parents' information. All you do is download these, open a file on your teen's computer for all of their information so they can put those files in there, and then you make a file for yours so you know where to find it later on. If you have any trouble at all, you send us a message. We love answering questions. If you get confused, if your teen's confused, send us a question. It's info@sevensistershomeschool.com. And also, join our Seven Sisters Homeschool Facebook group, because there are so many awesome seventh sisters and seventh siblings, because there's 6 of us seven sisters. That's me and Sabrina and Kim and Marilyn and Allison and Sarah. So who's the 7th sister? You are. And so when you join us over there on the Facebook group or Instagram or Pinterest or YouTube, you are part of our 7th Sisters family. And we love answering questions there, and so do the other Seven Sisters. So you throw a question up in the Seven Sisters Homeschool Facebook group, and somebody is going to answer it, and usually lots. So you can get lots of good encouragement and support there. We just love sharing the things that our teens have loved. I love teaching this course in our homeschool group classes. And I'm so glad that we finally have it captured so that teens now can do this on their own or in their homeschool co-ops. Thank you to Seth Tillman for editing. Thank you all for joining us today. And thanks to the Ultimate Homeschool Podcast Network. And we look forward to seeing you next week.